people are. So yeah, so you're gonna want to probably look at the Dun and Bradstreet and you can get you get the number, they don't charge you for it. And then
Right.
you basically, you don't really need to open the account until, I mean, really you got to be doing some big stuff or something. Then go to your bank, use that holding company code, or I don't know, I use consultants still now and I use some educational stuff because that's what I'm kind of transitioning to. But I've
Hmm.
always used consultant or holdings company. Like Private Money Holdings, the company I have with Jesse and Kevin is I use the holding companies, other holding companies. I don't put anything with real estate, or I don't put anything with financial or legal, because then you never know once they want to start like looking at you like auditing wise, like hey, this you might have some money, because we're doing anything with money. Because like I think I told you, Doris, when my bank account, my bank actually one of my banks actually wanted me to they closed my account because I had money in my name, Private Money Authority, and I had money in my name, and I had been there like 2 years, and they finally their underwriting from it wasn't even a branch. Ironically, the branch manager there, my parents have had that been there since the bank opened, and the branch manager used to work with my mom at the other bank in Evergreen, for 20 years. So he knew my parents and all that. So, but they closed my account because they had money in the name, and it's sometimes they're careful, like at the Capital, or like some banks don't want you lending money, or even the parents of lending money. And I explained to them, I'm just getting broker fees. So I had to
Hmm.
put them in a different company. I had to basically, do that other company. And so I use it just as my brand. Private Money Holdings, Private Money Authority is just the education. The website privatemoneyauthority.com will go to the virtual program, the AI program. You guys will be the authority, join the authority, whatever. There's a whole marketing thing I'm working on. And as I was just telling Simi before you got on, and we got some other people coming on too later. I'm going to be putting in a lot of my own money at the end of the year. I've got uh, some things going on. So I'm going to be putting the automated AI program together with that virtual platform. And then I'll be able to provide it all to you guys, like beta testing for life. And then we'll just hit the new people up. They'll have some different options, like a subscription, and I was using Storm Ventures Group when I was at the roofing storm industry business, and I was paying $1,000 a month for that. And I paid like, you guys can go on Storm Ventures Group and you look at their contractor store, and you can see I had like 3 of their packs. I had like sales manager, production manager. I have all for my company. I probably spent like 10 grand on that stuff. And then it's all, and when they do it to you, their office puts your logo, your name, everything on it, ships it to you. And they're all like contractor, for salespeople on commission, and they're all, lawyered up and stuff. So that's the whole idea, is that we'll have those two entities, and then we'll also have the AI and automation. So basically, like I was just telling Sydney before everybody else came on, and Liz, say welcome, how are you? So as I was saying, Bill, what's going on? I was saying, you should be able to go home at the end of, somebody should be able to go home at 6 o'clock. They pick their kids up from school, whatever, come back from work, make dinner with their family. Their kids go watch TV, do homework, whatever. Go log on to your computer. By the time you log off at 9 o'clock, when it's time for your kids to go to bed, you should be able to source a property, do the analyze it, pull comps, because you can. Privy's awesome, dude. Benson's showing people how to use Privy to do comps. We got some other resources that I can throw at you. So the whole idea is if somebody pays for that package, I would then get a 1 year subscription to Privy with that package. So if they pay me $3,500 or whatever it is, because I know what Pace is charging them, then I would basically get you a subscription to Privy for a whole year. And then I'd throw in, Scope Tech, which is my friend's scope company in Denver. And I should, you guys saw those pictures I posted from his office a couple of weeks ago. He's on the
Hmm.
50th. He's on the 50th floor of Public Plaza in Denver, which is the tallest building in Denver. He's probably paying $25,000-$30,000 a month for rent, but he has scope. I mean, those scopes are incredible, and he's able to do it because he was doing it for the roofing and storm industry. And that's how I know him. I actually worked for him for a year before I got into this. And Jared is basically can do. They have a thing called ProDocs where. So imagine, you're in a roofing company or a storm company, or you get a hurt, you're doing some kind of hail or tornado or earthquake cleanup, and you have to, you're billing the insurance company. Really, you shouldn't do that. You should actually have the customer have a public adjuster. The insurance companies are fighting that, like they don't want contractors doing that anymore. But he would go in ProDocs, and his people will actually not only do the scopes and all, they do all the measurements and all that stuff. They give you all the aerials, but which is great for the package sent to the insurance adjuster. But they can do pricing. So he says it's data. So if I combine Privy and I combine Scope Tech, and I can put all of our stuff in there, all of our lenders, and put the AI system and put 4 or 5 of those components I listed today I'm not going to do them all because it's like it'd just be like, it's like Elon Musk was talking about Twitter. Like he wants to add a bunch of things, but he doesn't want it to be a button forest when you got all the buttons to click on. So that's the other thing is I want to make sure that it's clean. So it's going to take the rest of the year to do it probably, and then obviously I'm going to fund it myself. You guys are all in it for life. Anybody that gets into associate right now, well, up until a point, will get it. After that, it's going to be like $3,500 because it's going to be. I'm going to give everybody a year of privy. I'm going to give everybody a member. One of the memberships you guys can go see at my Dope Tech. You guys can see their memberships. Just for Gens, I'll just give you guys the address, the website for Scope Tech, and you guys can see where. I mean, literally, some of these resources I'm telling you guys about, nobody in real estate knows about these who's using them. So it can be an incredible advantage to use Scope technologies or use company cam and stuff because nobody else in real estate really even knows about it. And Jared said he thinks he can. I mean, he's also does some real estate investing. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago at his office, like I said, and he was all about it. He's like, dude, we could throw something together. I get him with Benson from Privy's in Denver. I mean, literally their offices are like less than 2 miles away from each other. So I could get them together and we could put something together for all you guys. It's just going to be a little bit of a time because I'm going to have to probably, I'm estimating it'll probably be about $50,000 to $100,000 that I'll probably pay for it to get it up and running. But you guys get it all for free since you guys, took the plunge with associate. So,
Okay.
and you guys should be able to get everything into it. So I'm going to go ahead because we got a few more people. We got 5 or 6. I know Bill's on. Liz is a guest. Hey, Liz, what's going on with you? How are you? I know you were on last week. Do you still have your deal that you need to talk about? I don't know if you can respond.
Hello.
Hey, just to make 2 connections, you might want to just talk to Simi while he's on or Bill because they both can do lending and they both have some resources.
Okay.
They might be able to help you with your deal. So if you just want to like communicate with them in the chat directly.
Oh, okay.
And then get their contact information. We got some other people. Willie was on earlier. I don't know. He'll probably be on. He was on that lenders only group. For you guys that know about solid lenders only, it's going to be a great group. I did make a video. I'm going to post. I'm going to actually post it on YouTube as well, public side as well as put in the group tomorrow. It's going to be. We're going to be working on getting 100, 200, 300 lenders in the lenders only group, and then we'll be able to jump them over from the 5 o'clock group to the 6 o'clock group to this one, so that you guys can present deals to them, kind of like Shark Tank.
Wow. That sounds good.
It's not going to happen right away. It's a slow roll. I mean, I had a couple people on tonight. I'll get a couple more. We're taking obviously July 3rd and 5th off. We'll come back on July 10th and 12th. My birthday is in between it, July 11th, so it'll be kind of an interesting week.
Nice.
I actually trademarked my birthday as Natemas. It's like Festivus on Seinfeld. It's like the birthday for the rest of us. Like when people like that know me locally start talking about Natemas, like my friend who was my fire chief when I was in fire 20 years ago, he's like, hey, it's looking like a lot like Natemas, because it goes all the way back to one of my firefighting days. So guys, I'm gonna do so Liz, yeah, definitely talk to Bill and talk to Simi and they can help you. And then if you need some more people in the group,
Okay.
Willie Ingram would be awesome. Gabe. So you can look at Gabe, GABE in our, and I'll try to get you in the group. I know you're not a associate yet. I know you're considering it. You're still considering it. So if you need to, like I said, you got these 2 contacts right now, and then we can talk more later if you want to do that. If you want to, if you want to jump in.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, we got a ton of resources for you, and these guys can, they can, if they can't lend you, at least maybe they can direct you into somebody who can do that deal for you. So she does have a pretty good deal, guys, just so you guys know.
And my birthday's July 12th.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Shit, dude.
Yeah.
We need to like meet halfway since you're in Grand Junction. I'm in Evergreen.
Yeah. Exactly.
That'd be some great stories for the next week. Nate and Bill go to White Castle, like the Harold and Kumar movie.
Yeah.
Luckily, we don't like, hey, we have Casa Bonita. It's open now, or it's getting open slow roll. Dude, they spent $40 million on fixing that place up.
Jeez.
Trey Parker from South Park graduated from my same high school 2 years before me. So I didn't really know him, but I'm obviously, we're a small town, so it was kind of cool. Let me go ahead and do this. You guys know about my share screen issue, so I will try to share a screen. I want to show you guys a couple things. Sure, I can actually. Yeah, just forget about Chuck Norris. It actually says I use hot sauce as eye drops. I don't know why I accidentally saved it to that file. But you guys have seen how many Chuck Norris memes are out there. So I gotta do this. By the time we get back from our break after next week, I'm gonna have this figured out. Because this really annoys me when I have to do this twice. So we're gonna do logic lending. So real quick tonight, I'm gonna run through this and then I'm gonna show Kevin's deal. And then Liz or anybody else, you guys want to talk about your stuff going on. That's cool. That's what we're here for. Let me try to click. Okay. So logic, I've actually changed it to the logic of lending. 5 things to look for and question before doing a lot of work on a file. This is presuming you're a broker or you're a processor, an underwriter, or a transaction coordinator at Rock or one of the big lenders. So for you if you're just a real estate investor or you're brokering or something like that, this is going to give you a lot of insight to how these bigger lenders funds work and how they make decisions. So it's going to help you to basically go back to the borrower's checklist and all the stuff we've talked about the last couple of weeks, all the way back to January. If you've been around since January, like Doris, you guys can just keep that's good. Willie just got on. That's awesome. So that way, guys, this is actually some things I got to put the disclaimer. Make no worries, you guys can read this on your own. I do want to change this that I'm not a lawyer, but I do watch Law and Order. I can actually do that song that they do in TED too. Logic lending so revolves around these 2 questions. How are you going to make money and how are you going to service the debt? Are you going to be able to pay for the deal? Actually, I think Simi, I thought I saw you respond to somebody in like Jim's group or something like that, or somebody like you or somebody in the group said that to somebody.
Oh yeah, probably. I'm always doing that.
Yeah, I'm like, how are you gonna service the debt? Like,
Yeah.
all this DSCR just stuff came out of nowhere. Like everybody wants to do DSCR now.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, dude. Okay. So if you're a broker, if you're a real estate, these are questions that are going to be asked of you. So now you can bulletproof your package, your business, knowing, you're going to be looking for money, whether it's an investor or lender or whatever. If you're going to broker money or become a correspondent lender, or at some point lend money, these are getting this whole power. It's actually a PowerPoint, even though I saved it in PDF just to make it easier. And I'll post the PDF and the PowerPoint so you guys can download it and study it at your own time, just like the broker president from last week. So you always want to ask questions. They're always going to ask you questions. If you're brokering, you always want to ask questions. I showed you guys that info doc form last week. You guys can, even make your own and get more in depth on the questions you ask. Ask them about experience. Ask them things like that. Logic lending requires the borrower to prove that they're going to successfully make money on the transaction, either through their ability to fix and sell the property for profit, or acquire the property, attach debt financing to it, and still show a positive cash flow. Obviously rental. Obviously, this doesn't get into. When I started doing this one, I wasn't working a lot in the multifamily or self-storage or any other spaces. I was still pretty much brokering and doing stuff for flips and single family. A lot of the same things will apply, and all the you guys have experienced that this will kind of see that this works all across the board. So if these items can be proven as one of the 5 criteria in the title is clear, they should be able to logically lend. So this gets into the pyramid, not to be confused with the pyramid scheme. Level 1, value as is and ARV. Your level 2, I'm going to go through explanations this slide for each one of these. Level 2 is your reserves. That's your ability to pay. So a lot of lenders are going to want 3 to 6 months reserves. They're going to want you to be able to show that, hey, I can make that interest only payment for 3 months or 6 months, or something like that. They're going to, like I said, we'll go into bank accounts and stuff. Plaid. We've talked about that before. Level 3 is their experience. We showed the experience for us. Level 4 is credit score. If they do talk about credit, if they do require credit, the lender, most of the time it's going to be a soft pull. And I am very much a stickler on if I'm brokering, I'm talking to my lender and my rep there, and that my relationship manager, which answers another question for you, Doris. The relationship manager is going to be, or it could be just your rep at the lender. Everybody's going to have somebody that they're going to communicate with at the lender when you broker for them. You're going to want to ask them, how do they store people's credit data? I don't want it. I don't want people sending me their credit report. I don't want them to know their social security number. I really don't even want to know their EIN number, other than it is safer than a credit than a FICO. I mean, than a social. If you guys want to talk about social security numbers, just watch Matthew Cox on YouTube, because he used to create fake people out of real social security numbers. So they're going to look at credit scores. So you don't want to have it. You can ask the lenders, a lot of time they will have a link. And sometimes on your broker portal, there will be actually a link to upload. You can talk to them. Can your client, can your borrower, or you as a borrower, can you upload directly to the lender? They have better systems. You don't want to be involved with a breach, a hack, or anything else where you're settling. I mean, if you get a credit report, if you start lending, you probably want to shred it, and you want to like have some kind of documentation that you put in a shredder. I'm in a community where I have a shredder, but I also, our sheriff's department does a shredathon like every other month. So you can go out there and they can, hey, it's just, I took my shreddings out there to get shredded again. Then they take it in their big secure truck or whatever. I don't know what the cops do with it after that. Level 5 is employment. Value as or ARV. So your value is going to talk to the safety of the deal. Reserves is where it is. Where is it? Where's the ability to pay? How can they pay? Your experience, properties on the schedule of real estate. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. There's two forms: real estate owned, real estate, sold. So if you've sold real estate, and while you're starting out, you can put your primary residence on that. But eventually, once you have properties, investment properties, you probably want to delete your primary residence, just so they don't come back and say, hey, you got this equity and you can cross collateralize. Then, because you guys know, no matter how safe you are, you think it is, there is issues in real estate investors that doesn't happen in owner occupied, and it's a lot easier to foreclose. You don't want to accidentally have somebody's house, they get foreclosed on because they didn't do 3 separate LLCs. They get their house foreclosed, their houses, and all of a sudden their primary residence is included, because there's equity there. And there are lawyers that'll figure that out. So I won't go into too much details. Credit. Are they utilize credit? Are they responsible? Employment, location, exit strategy, reputational capital. Kevin will talk about that a lot of time, but exit strategy is one of the A's, guys. I talk about exit strategy. You talk about executive summary, experience. There's the 3 of the E's. There's actually 7 of them. I won't go into the other ones. That's next week. So here's your value, guys. So this is something that what you see is the collateral DNA report. I want it on all my deals. This is a Kogo thing, guys. So you can get it on Kogo. If you want to know how to get it, I've got a link. And they charge $25 and you get like a 25 to 30 page report. Is it as good as comps? Probably not. Maybe 90% of what comps are, but they use it in their description. It is so good that I actually make sure that all my customers, all my borrowers, no matter who I would actually get it, it's $25. To get that kind of information for $25 is invaluable, because sometimes I can see what that property is going to be and I can help them. I always prefer to help people structure the deal before they had an offer accepted. And it's like, why would that be a benefit? Because I can help structure a deal so the lenders will approve it. And then we can make it so if you get the lender and the seller approving it, that deal is going to get funded, and it's going to close pretty quick without any hitches. So if you take the collateral DNA report, like I said, if you need one, I can give you the link. It's $25. They also do a proof of funds. So if anyone wants a proof of funds, they give you up to like $500,000. They charge like $5. They give you a letter. It's legitimate. It's not like people make their own, because it is still Kogo. So even if you don't use Kogo, at least you got the POF. So we'll look at items 2 to 5. So they're looking at appraisal. They're looking at this DNA report. So we'll use a few examples. Borrower's paying $200,000 for property with ARV of 350. As is value is 150. ARV value comes in at 320. The DNA report says the as is 190. What is the value of the property? So the appraisal is 150. The DNA is 190. They're going to split the difference, guys. A lot of lenders that I've used are going to split the difference. If you use like if they come back, with an appraisal and stuff, a lot of them are going to split the difference. Just kind of get used to that. Obviously, there's some things you can do with appraisals, and I won't go into it on this. I'll talk about it in another session, and I'm going to do that in the part 1 and the part 2 are 16 weeks. I'll go into that. I'll go in some legal ways you can actually get the appraisal adjusted. Sometimes you can get an appraiser just real quick. I mean, I'm not going to go into it, but just real quick, you can actually probably get them to actually appraise it a little higher. There's a couple techniques to do. with the local county, like the county clerk or county records, reserves. So you have to schedule real estate, schedule of assets, where are they, what are they? Logical. We need to determine how the borrower is going to be able to afford this loan. The last thing we want to do is force our borrowers into sticky financial situations. They must present the ability to afford the monthly debt service of the loan. If they're going to fix it up and sell it, we need to know where those rehab funds come from. If they're going to borrow the money from us, we need to see bids from licensed and bonded contractors. That's a big given, guys. It's like I tell people all the time, make sure your clients are you, whatever. Get a licensed contractor. I mean, spend a little bit extra money. You're gonna save yourself a lot of headaches. And lenders like these, we talk about the difference, HML versus PML, and you guys see me, I'm very much that they're the same, but obviously a few of the minor differences, they do have some flexibility if it's just an individual where they may overlook some stuff, or they may, they can do things a little bit different because it's their own money. Most of these lenders that are on our list have investors or they have people to answer to. So, obviously rehab funds, some lenders will only give you like one rehab loan, but they may give you the purchase funds for 4 properties or 5 properties, but they're only going to usually give you rehab because guess what? Rehab's where a lot of people get in trouble. If they're going to do the work themselves, we need to see proofs they have successfully done this in the past. And more on this, we talk about reputational capital experience. So that's where that company CAM program I talked to you guys about a few weeks ago. And I'll be talking about in the scope of work AMAs, companycam.com, it's companycam.com. You can get the free version and it's free. Will pretty much do everything unless you're out there doing like tons and tons of multifamilies and stuff. If you're doing just residential, you're doing flips, you're doing rental properties, Company Cam's free version does everything you need to do. So I'll talk more about it on the scope of work AMAs, which will be on Wednesdays starting in July. How much do you have in the bank? How much do you have in reserves? How many properties do they own? How many flips have they done? How well are they managing their business? You guys know that some lenders will actually do a bankruptcy as long as it's been discharged. It doesn't actually hurt in a lot of cases, though you'll still need more documentation, but I've actually done a couple. I did a couple when I first got started. Buying a second home that is needed serious renovation is a significant undertaking and must go into it without a clue of what they're doing. Before and after photos of multiple properties and copies of checks. There you go, Company Cam. You guys can get all the pictures. If you have your contractor out there, they can take pictures. You give them access. It comes up live on your computer. You can be sitting in your office at your home with a laptop. They're out there taking the 20 pictures they need that week to get their draw, for you to get your draw. So if you're going to get, if you're going to do the kitchen this week, you got to get the countertops in, you got to get the backsplash in, you got to have the counters in, you got to do, the floorings in, you get in, everything is ready for the appliances, all the outlets. You got to have all the check down the list. They can take all those pictures and send them to you for free on Company Cam. You don't need to pay. You can later on, like I said, once you get really busy, you can pay for Company Cam and it's not that expensive, and you can just incredibly increase your storage. You can label them, you can build portfolios, you can do a lot of stuff. Company Cam was, I used it, like I said, I learned about it when I did my storm business. That's how I was taking pictures. My subs and myself, I was taking pictures to send to the insurance companies to pay my clients their in claims. And I did public adjusting, so I would always have to take. I took like something like 500 pictures on a house that had been wrecked by hail. And that's how I was very successful in getting claims satisfied. So, like I said, before and after pictures, credit, open trade lines, use of available trade lines, type of trade lines, number of bank mortgage loans. They're going to look at it. Like I said, down here, you get a bankruptcy right here, bankruptcy foreclosure acceptable on a credit report. If it's utilized as the last ditch effort to stay afloat. If you're the broker, you want to make sure you get it a little bit, go through this, maybe do a Zoom the day before. You submit all that, the credit report, so that you can have answers for the processor or the underwriter. That way they can go, okay, that makes sense. And if they have documentation, ask them for documentation. Is it discharged? What are the circumstances? Is this a business or is this a personal, or their medical bills? Dude, because those medical bills right now, they're actually changing a lot of states to they won't, a lot of states now won't let them put medical bills on your credit report, which I think is a good thing. Employment. How difficult will collections be? Do they have a real job? Also that one. Do they have a real job? They have stability. when lending private money, we must be aware of challenges that some borrowers will have with repayment of the loan. If they have a government job, been in the current occupation, you guys know this. Risky loans are self-employed. So you guys hear the no doc. I don't know what you guys do for no doc. We can talk about it after this PDF. What you guys do for no doc and stuff. Because those of you guys that broker lending off a fund. So most of our lenders, and I'm talking about all the lenders on the lender list, not necessarily, like I said, the guy in the trench coat in Times Square at the Rolex watches and the other, he's got hard money loans and he's got Rolex watches that probably aren't even Rolex. First trust deed lending only, credit used only to utilize a rate reduction. That's what they're going to use credit for. It's only going to be like, they're going to tier you. If you have a 750, 720, you're probably going to get like 10%, 11%. You're going to get a lot better. I mean, some even do 9 or 8%. If somebody comes in and they have a 600, or even like I've been told in one of my private money broker class, which was 6 years ago, 4 days, 40 hours, they actually talked about somebody that had a 580 and they got them done because they had the documentation and they had everything in order. And so if you're a broker, going at lender, like I said, you want to get thorough documentation. That's what you're getting your 1 to 3 points, and Visual, and lending one will pay 4 and 5 in some cases on some of their products. Interest only loans, most of them are minimum loans 15,000. I would actually go up to like 75 now. They'll do 15,000 on our rehab. Most of the lenders we work, their minimum is going to be 75,000. So we'll change this for the next one. 3 to 24 month terms. For a term of 6 months, the borrower will receive 0 tier adjustment. So this is one, this is just off an underwriter that sent me their underwriting criteria, that they will actually not do any tier adjustments if it's under 6 months. They will, they go down, 0.5 tier. Terms of 18 months, the borrower will move down 1 tier. Terms of 24 months, the borrower will move down 1 tier. The loan calculator that I have, guys, that you guys can use and you guys can have it, and I have permission to give it to you, is Kogo's, and it goes into it does go into flips, and it does buy and holds for single family, and it does 5 and up on some multifamilies, and has cash out refi. So if you guys want to use it, it's awesome, and it has a lot of this stuff in there. It'll actually help you build a whole loan profile. So it's great. You guys can just download in the download center in the files. No prepayment penalty, verified income requirement, down payment, construction, rehab costs, closing costs, 3 months of reserves. That's generally what they're going to talk about in the money. Cross collateralization. Try not to, like I was talking about earlier, try not to get people to try to get them to not put their primary residence in, because just in case anything goes happen, you're not going to get hit too bad on your credit if it's an investment property that goes bad. If you get primary residence, they're kind of screwed. Non-owner occupied only. SFR, single family, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, condos, townhomes, multifamily. Obviously we got short-term rentals, multifamily, senior housing, all that stuff, storage and all that, new construction. That's all, there's a lot of stuff in there. And I got analyzers for that, guys. So look at those analyzers. I downloaded 2 of them for you guys. I put in short-term rentals and I put in buy and hold. Use those because those are awesome. Clear title required. They want a year hazard insurance premium paid. Guys, ROC 360. We talk about ROC a lot for the correspondence program. You can go in there. I don't remember exactly where it is, but you can find it in the mast, the masthead at the bottom. It goes into all their, entities. They have an insurance program that covers just about every type of property, investment property, whether it's a flip and all that. So consider that if you guys are looking for an insurance company for your own deals or anybody that you broker, try ROC and see if they can help you. I think they're in 46 states. There's only 4 states that can't write insurance in. So that's a good deal. And it's all 100% geared towards real estate investors. Like they don't sell to normal, it's not like State Farm. Third-party independent appraisals by approved national company. A lot of them are going to order them internally. There's a couple of companies, Clear Capital and Appraisal Nation, are pretty much nationwide. You can get some good value. They have some valuation programs. If you're a lender, you can subscribe to it. Feel free to check them out. If you guys need them, the links are in the group. I could give you the links. But you probably will never need them as a broker, because your lenders are going to have their own title companies and appraisal companies. as is values, most of them are just saying 120 days. Purchase loan to value cannot exceed the lesser of 65% or 80% of the purchase price. That has actually changed to 90 on most of the lenders that I worked with. When I did this, like when I've done this about 4 or 5 years ago, it was like 80. You can get 90 now. And so purchase loan, refinance loan to value cannot exceed 65%. LTV is loaded at 50% if more than 10% of the loan amount is received by borrower at closing. So if you get $100,000 deal and you get $10,000 back, they're only going to give you the line at LTV at $50,000. But just remember that that's a lot of these lenders. No seasoning requirements on refinances unless it's a gift or a quick claim in the last 12 months. Then again, it's 50%. Cross-collateralization LTVs remain the same when all the properties are the same transaction type. Multiple transaction types require LTVs to be calculated separately. So you could have some, I'm just going to show you guys a few of these. And you guys can kind of look at them at your own terms. And you guys are experienced. I mean, you may pick it apart. This is generally, we can change this to 90, but if you just go off of 80, it talks about, this guy has, this borrower has 13 properties that she owns and rents. So she could have cross-collateralized as well. So it kind of talks about these little scenarios, and I'll go through it. There's a couple of them, and make sure you guys always like use of proceeds, but exit strategy. You want to have them do an executive summary and you want to have them talk about the exit strategy and even a contingency. Like what happens if they're going to flip it, but they don't flip it but they can they rent it? Could they short-term rent it while they're, I mean, that's a great strategy, guys. Airbnb, VRBO, while it's on the market, at least get some income coming in if it's going to be on the market. If you're on market days or whatever going to be extended, why not try to get it listed on Airbnb or something? Loan examples, here's another one in Milwaukee. So there's a borrower performance guarantee with, I think Kogo has it, Vizio has it. There's a couple of ones that use different terms. Basically they can actually, they can get a little like an insurance policy in a way. That basically is they're going to perform it. It's kind of like an insurance policy, like a bond. Not really a bond, but kind of like one. Borrower, this one has great reserves, subject property. The borrower has 9 properties, 6 of which are currently generating $6,375 of monthly income. So they're going to do this from proceeds of sale of a separate investment. So you may want to, this is where you want to see, is it a real estate thing? And can you get the real estate experience form, the appropriate one, whether it's real estate sold or real estate owned. If it's not real estate, get some kind of documentation and send it to the processor and the underwriter. It's always great to, there's a line from the A-Team movie in 2010 where, Hannibal, kind of he was, obviously George Papard in the TV show. Liam Neeson is that goes, he goes, what is it? Overkill is underrated. I kind of like that. Overkill is underrated. Borrowers paying $1,000. This is a performance guarantee again. If they're going to sell the property, guys, remember always exit strategy and executive summary. And what are they going to do? And like I said, in these times, throw a contingency in there. And like at the one, the buy and hold analyzer we have has 1% and 2%. I posted that post the other day that told you guys, kind of the difference on that. It automatically does it. And it's the only analyzer I've ever seen that has the 1% and the 2% both in there. And it actually walks you through that entire process. When we get to analyzers, I'll be able to actually just post that and you guys can go through it. It's actually very good on teaching you how to use how to fill in the Excel. So this is another one, like exit strategy, refinance, conventional lender. They're going to try to retake this to like the regular, I think they would do this one at like a credit union or something. You can still get pretty decent deals at credit unions on. I actually was in one in Evergreen the other day, and they were able to do some real estate, some investment properties, just because they're locally owned and they don't have like U.S. Bank or Chase or somebody over them. We're not going to go into too many of these. So details about the deal, guys. We told you about the introdoc last week. That was a form I created. I used that. So this is just kind of the deals you want to go. If you got your own deal, this is just yours. Just guys overthink. Like I said, overkill is underrated. go ahead and get as much documentation together, build your credibility package. And then when you work with a borrower, a broker, or a lender, and just overwhelm them like, hey, I've got everything you need. I got everything because, you guys know, like in Jim's group, John Morris is like number 2 guy in that group with 300,000 people. And John was just talking this weekend over he had a couple of his deals where the lenders pushed it out past the closing, and it's happening more and more. But you actually, as a borrower or as a client, if you're a broker, need to explain to your client that really their qualifications or checklist, it starts really the minute the borrower gets everything the lender requires. So if you are slow, like takes 10 or 11 days, don't expect it to close in 28 business days or 21 business days. And guys are like, I keep remembering, I keep saying that business days, always put business, change your contracts. If you have to do anything else, put business days in there. Like today is Juneteenth. I didn't know it was a holiday. I went to the bank this morning and the bank was closed. And I was like, that Juneteenth was like celebrated on like a Saturday, but they've made it a holiday on a Monday, which is it would not be a business day. It would not be a government business day. So you could potentially get stuck in a problem where you miss a day or something, and hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully people are reasonable, but you never know. In these days, people look for outs. They don't give them an out. Keep going into this. Is about 20 questions, guys. Details about the deal, has its value, what the ARV, remember the exit strategy, flip or hold, length of marketing, time to sell, rental rates. They got Renometer, guys. If you haven't heard of Renometer, for those of you who aren't, Renometer is awesome. How much money you putting in, what's a cross collateral, address if it's applicable, they can look it up. Especially if you go to Kogo, because you guys say that CDNA program, if it's a single family residence, they have 95% of the residential houses in the United States in their database. So they can go and look up stuff, and they can do evaluation on the properties that your borrower, you own. If they're single family, which helps them. They can go, hey, you got this and you got equity. So we'll take that equity as collateral. Loan term 6, 12, 18, 24. What rates did you budget for your cost of capital? You guys can use that loan calculator, especially if you're brokering or for yourself, and you can go ahead and play with what's it going to look like 10%, 11%, 12%. Just run a couple scenarios. It's free to use. It's a great loan calculator. Kogo's done a pretty good job, and they provide that to me in my back office with them. So, which is probably what I paid them $3,000 for. What rates did business entity type, it's an LLC, other credit score, employment, number of deals, experience, challenges on credits, explanation, negative items. Make sure you're asking these questions, like I said earlier, and get the documentation together, because once you have documentation and you can show reasons, and it's like getting stipulations. You guys know, car dealers, if people have bad credit, they go to the special finance and they call stips. They may have to get like, hey, we need 20 relatives and friends to call if you don't pay your payment. I actually saw a thing where some lady had an $800 a month car payment on a car that was from 1983 or something. She just bought it used, like 300,000 miles on it because she was desperate enough. Like $800 a month and your car's 40 years old. Value, reserves, experience, credit score, employment. So if you guys got any questions and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and upload this tomorrow after I do the video. You guys can all put it in PDF and all that stuff. And I'll also make sure you got that calculator. Like I said, it is Kogo. So especially if you're gonna book with Kogo, it's awesome because you're gonna have everything that's in there is in that loan calculator. But if you can use that for anything that's single family, for buy and hold, for flips, and for if it's a quadplex, fourplex, whatever, small multifamily. So remember, if it's 5 doors or more, it's a commercial property. So that is a great tool to use. I'll be putting another analyzer up this week. I'll be putting the entry level multifamily analyzer. Then we'll be putting in July, we'll be doing the one for syndication, which is, it's pretty thorough. I'm gonna need Angel Marino to come on and do that one because he's a guru on syndications for multifamily. So if you guys have any questions on that, if not, I'm gonna go ahead and jump to Kevin's deal. So, and you guys, Liz, and a few of you guys, the guys that are on here that have some deals, we can feel free after Kevin's deal. If you guys want to talk about that. So let me see if I can Actually, thought I downloaded his deal. I do have his the tax forms. So I'll show you guys the tax forms on it, and I'll briefly talk about the deal. And then if you guys want to, anybody's interested to go through it in depth, let me see if I can. So Kevin has a deal that's actually like I said, I'm gonna have to show you guys the just the taxes at first and walk you kind of through it. So this is a grain elevator. Like I said, I'll just make sure if you guys want it, I got the 2-page summary that Kevin wrote up. You know, they were asking 2.2 million. Kevin's got them down to 1.65 million. The owner or seller wants to retire. And so I'll give you guys the documentation. Like I said, I'll make sure you guys have it tomorrow, or then I'll make sure you guys have this. Just, you know, if you guys know anybody that might be interested in being an investor or a lender, if not, like I said, just use this as a study guide. So it's $8 million a year in revenue. And the guy's got his, you know, obviously his taxes, his Schedule Ks. You know, these guys are thorough. They're in the grain business. They got contracts. It's in Jasper, Missouri. So, and they've got all new like driveways, all new pavement, a lot of new equipment. Like I said, the guy just wants to retire. So he's going to hand over all the contracts, all the, like the whole client list is going to be handed over. So you're talking about $8 million, you know, in revenues. So he's got all that. I think he got $8 million. You know, what the gross profit is. And there's some, you know, Kevin's looked at it. He's obviously in Missouri. So Scott Strickland, who's in our PMA group, and a couple other people. Nancy Obi, if you guys remember her from January, I think Doris might be the one to remember her because she was in January. Doris lives in Fort Riley, Kansas. She's retired Army. So she is working with Kevin on this. And Nancy's actually a very solid person. She's got a couple businesses that deal with import export from Africa. Like she's got sesame oil, sesame seed, and she's got contracts. Like I said, she's just retired from the Army. And so she's got a lot of deals. But so you guys can even look up Jasper Grain. You know, if you guys see a deal like this come up in front of you, if you're a broker or something, or you see somebody posting on Facebook and looking for a deal, guys, if you get a tax return, I mean, you guys can look up Jasper Grain so you guys can see it. Got the certified public accountants on it. So it's a really solid deal. So Kevin's gotten down to 1.65 million. And so he's we're trying to figure out a good system to structure this. But here you guys go. Here's the numbers. I mean, literally, this is a really solid deal. You know, it gets down to, you know, he thinks there's a lot of systems that can be changed and made things more efficiently. Probably gets us up to about $1 million or, you know, $1.5 million on all the expenses. But they got all the rents and the taxes and licenses, depreciation, all their advertising, their pension and their deductions, you know, all that stuff. So there's some ways to make it more efficient. Obviously, I'm not going to show that part too much, but I'm going to post up the actual, you know, what he's looking at and what he's looking for. And we're going to do this from now, guys. We're going to do this every night. And if you guys got deals, I want you to, you know, bring them. We're going to start them. I'll say, you know, you can share a screen and talk about your deal and what you're looking for. So that's just kind of just to go over. But I mean, these guys are thorough. And, you know, Kevin's got the 2019, 2020, and 2021 tax returns, and they're all consistent. So it's not like even during the COVID, I mean, we're talking about food and we're talking about grain, we're talking about wheat, things like that. Obviously, Kansas, Missouri, you know, it's very much agricultural farming. So to have a business like this, and the guy is selling it, guys, has real estate, not as a business, which is like, Kevin was like, well, it blows me away. It's like, we do this all the time. You know, we see people all the time trying to do a business and they come to us with a business loan and it's not going to work because we don't have too many business loans. But if anybody wants to, you know, Kevin wants to throw a little call together the next day or two and he'll actually do a full presentation on it. And then if you guys want to just do it as a study, you know, to study it and go, hey, for your brokering or whatever, so you can you can always game it out and figure out scenarios to help. Because, you know, guys, especially everybody that's in here right now, I cross paths with you guys all the time. So I see the same things you guys are seeing. So does anybody have any questions about that? Or if anybody's interested, just let me know in the next couple of days and I'll hook you up with Kevin and you can talk to him if you know anybody that might be willing to, you know, looking at lending or investing on it, you know, because they can definitely put the contracts up for collateral and things like that, you know, which is great. You know, you got $8 million of grain coming in. That's a pretty substantial amount. So Anybody got any deals they want to go through? I think Liz may have left. She had a deal, but I think she's going to contact you guys directly. But so that's logical lending, guys. That's basically how lenders will make decisions. You know, a lot of them. And there's, like I said, if you guys need the tools that are in there, you know, if you want a CDNA report, I'll give you that link. Like I said, they do pay me $5 for that, but you know, I usually just collect it for their store. I buy like coffee mugs and stuff to give to people. That's what I used to do with it. I'd save up $100 and I'd buy coffee mugs, take them to a, you know, a conference or something. So, because you're not really going to make money off of POF forms. And the CDNA report, guys, is probably one of the most thorough reports. If you guys want to pull one up for one of your clients or one of your own deals, $25 is well worth it to get the information they did. And then if you work with Privy, you work with Scope Tech. So that's kind of the direction we're going to go with also lenders only. But does anybody have any questions? I mean, I know Bill, Doris, Jimmy, well, you guys.
Hey, Nate, could you bring back up that tax return?
Yeah, let me go back and try to get it. Make sure I get
Yeah,
the right.
Because I want to know how could he could only 50 something $1,000 in loss.
Okay, I mean, like I said, I'm gonna have to defer that to Kevin.
Okay,
Kevin was gonna be on this. Kevin got a family emergency like 5 minutes before we started, and he was on the lenders only call. And
okay,
so Kevin is not gonna be on here tonight. So
okay,
so I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna get in these numbers, and then Kevin's obviously very familiar with this deal because it's like he's,
okay,
and like I said, we can just use it for studying it, you know, for presenting it or whatever for you guys, you know, so you guys can know for your business. But man, this is a great, you know, when you're talking about grain, I mean, you're talking about food, you're talking about, you know, there's government subsidies, there's all kinds of stuff, resources they can get for this. And so you're talking about $8 million in return, you know, and gross receipts, and you know, it ends up getting down to pretty solid. I mean, it's like, you know, and this guy was pretty much just ready to retire. So, and he put some money into it to get it ready to sell, put new pavement in around it, you know, fix a lot of stuff. Cause you know, you guys have to drive through Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri. You guys will see a lot of these mills and grain elevators and stuff out there. And they look like, you know, they'd be something out of Friday the 13th or something. But, this is a very solid, you know, $8 million a year business. Somebody could probably get this to 10 million, 12 million. I mean, the guy's been kind of getting ready for retire, so his last 3 tax returns are consistent. But like I said, somebody could probably get this to a little bit more efficient to cut down on a few expenses and a lot more, maybe it's a lot more business, you know, getting a fresh new ownership team, you know, marketing people, things like that could go in there and they could maybe get to this 10 or 12 million a year. So like I said, we normally wouldn't be talking business deals, business loans, business opportunity, you know, we'd be talking real estate, but the seller is 100% just selling this as real estate. And he was asking 2.2, Kevin's got him down to 1.65.
these are some good negotiation.
Yeah, Kevin's like that. He just needs to have now he needs to have me or somebody like finish it. Like he's good at talking people down. Then he goes, oh, I mean, no, now we need the money. So,
Okay,
but it's in Jasper, Missouri. Scott Strickland's on it. You guys probably don't know Scott. He's in PMA group with our original. He's been in for a couple of years. And then Nancy, you know, Nancy actually generated this. She's got the contact with the people. We do have like the lady we talk about with the Federal Reserve that Kevin knows. She's in Atlanta office. She used to be in the Kansas City branch where she retired. Now she's retired, but she's been working on this as well. So there's a lot of government because she knows there's a lot of government subsidies. Obviously, Department of Agriculture can put subsidies in this because it's grain. You can get, I mean, hell, you sometimes they even pay farmers to not grow as, you know, not do as much grain. You know, they basically it's a surplus. And there's obviously if these, you know, guys start thinking about if you start thinking about larger deals, look at geopolitics. And right now we got Russia and Ukraine kicking the crap out of each other. There's a lot of grain and stuff over in Ukraine and Russia. You know, there's a lot of stuff over there. And that was the whole thing in 1917. They had with Lenin and stuff. You know, I just watched a movie about Stalin the other couple of weeks ago, and it was like they killed like 1 million people just over they wanted to confiscate all their farms. I mean, it was like ridiculous. Like 1917, they were killing, it's like there was like genocide in Russia after the communists took over. But think about geopolitics. But yeah, this is, I mean, like I said, Kevin's got a solid deal for this. And I know Liz was here. She's got a deal. She's going to reach out to you guys. That's what we're going to be doing. And so Zeke, since you're late, we're going to kind of talk about the lenders only thing. I'm posting the video from that today that we did before that. We're gonna try to get 100, 200, 300 lenders in that group, and then we can just bring them over to talk to you guys in the 6 o'clock on Monday. That way, you guys can be ready to present deals and opportunities to them, like Shark Tank without Mark Cuban. And so that's my whole goal right now with lenders only. And then if people are new lenders or they've never done it, like we get some gap people and they want the resources, they will have, they'll have to join associate and pay, the $3.99, which is going up on July 1st. And then for you guys who are late, I am going to be doing the AI and automation program, but it's still going to take me 4 to 5 months to do it. I'm going to pay for it out of my pocket and provide it to you guys all for free when it's done as the beta. So you guys will have it may be the end of the year. I just can't. I got to be able, I've got some things going to fund it. And then you guys will have a fully automated AI system, for all this. So it'd be kind of cool. Just flip the switch off 3 hours later, 4 hours later. So and then Doris, I'll get back to you some more on those questions. I'm still working on that.
Okay.
Like I said, just on your code and your DMB, you don't need all that. You don't need to actually pay for that account.
No, I wasn't going to pay for a DNB account. No, it's just based on the research I was doing. It is
okay. I don't remember that lender as I'm trying to remember because there's 7 of them, and these are all lenders I work for. I can't remember ever being asked by any of them for a DMB number. And I signed up for all this stuff in 2017, 2018. So it's a lot of it's like, going back to the sign up dates, like things change sometimes. But they did ask me a couple of them asked me for NICS. It's mostly banks ask that, not lenders if you're brokering. So really all those consistencies, you have an LLC, you have a business address, you have an email address, you have a bank account the title company can pay you at. And Kogo's, I know you said somebody said Kogo's slow. Kogo's only slow really on paperwork. They pay, you get paid as a title company. When it closes, literally that loan closes, you're on the HUD one, they're wiring you right then and there, just like everybody else. They're paying the seller, they're paying for all the stuff that's on the HUD one that gets paid in closing. You're getting your commission. You will see that on the HUD one if you're doing single family and stuff. You will see that the day before from the lender because they will send it to you. You're getting paid, so you're getting paid then. The only process is, like I said, some of these are notoriously slow only because it's the paperwork. And when you have a borrower or a client, you need to tell them that. It literally, you are on the clock when you, the borrower client, actually, thanks, Zeke, I appreciate that. So I got a few personal things I got to do on Thursday and Friday as well. And then Kevin just had a family emergency, otherwise he was going to be here. He literally had he got a call like from his cousin like 5 minutes before he's so Terry Stevenson, who's the middle brother of the 3 brothers that had all the real estate and all the car dealerships. So
hopefully it's nothing not too bad, too serious.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he'll call me tomorrow, but he wants to do his thing on his deal. But no, you just want to tell your borrower, your client, you're on the clock. The minute you, the borrower or client, get these documents, get all these requirements to us or to the lender, then the lender's on the clock, and most of them will be 21, 28, whatever they say, business days. And I keep will say that business days, government business days, exactly, because something was nobody knew that Juneteenth was a holiday in Colorado. They just made it one, and I just found out this morning going to the bank like, hey, the bank's closed. It's like that. It's like that line from American Outlaws when they're robbing the bank, when Jesse James and his brother are robbing the bank, and they're like, the old guy comes up and they're like, his friends are like, it's a bank holiday. It's not a bank holiday. We're actually robbing the bank. So it is a bank holiday. No, so that's the thing you guys want to make sure you talk about to your clients. There at the time, the lenders, because like I said, John Morey talked about that in Jim's group and some of his own posts, if you guys know who John Morey is. And I mean, he's a very experienced guy. He's like Jim's number two in that group. Said he's had 5 or 6 closings just go south because the lenders just couldn't get it done by the time they said they were going to get it done. And you got to remember though, some of these larger, and I don't know if he's using, the HMO, the private guys like we always talk about, or if, he's using like Toga. The companies we use are going to tell you, and they're going to get the deal done because they have employees that have deadlines. They're getting paid, the processor, the underwriter, the transaction coordinator, they are getting paid. So it's their job. So I would assume that a lot of these are these companies that people want to stay away from. They want to stay away from the big ones, the funds and the companies. But I'm like, you know what? You're better off with some of those because really the money's not that much different. And you've got employees there that have, they have to get things done. And they have investors to answer to, SEC and all that stuff. So I've always kind of like been mixed on that. I kind of get a little angry sometimes when people like, start wanting to argue HMO versus PMO. And I get it on some levels, but I think it's just, there's just too many people out there. I think a lot of people get worried and they, people, the gurus tell them their personal opinion is, and that never changes. It's that whole change my mind meme. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And then Wednesday we are going to be the last week of fast track. I'm going to be doing this logic lending again on Wednesday because everybody, just so everybody
you're
gets
not.
it early.
You have what's her name? That gonna be on Wednesday at 2:00.
Well, yeah, she's at 2:00. This is at 5:30.
Oh, at 5:30. Oh, okay.
So if you got Jillian's thing, do it, and I'll be on that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
be obviously running it. You guys will see me on there. I'll be messing with Jillian through chat. Okay. I always give her shit because of some, we've always had. She's cool. She's married. It's not that. It's she's one of the cool people in the business. So she's all like joking. And you ever see her on her Facebook page? She used to send. She writes sons. She has 2 sons, and they're like, I think they're teenagers now. But she writes. She would put her notes what she'd send to her kids in the morning. And she said, now the problem is now they've gotten old enough they actually can give me shit back. So she's awesome. You guys will love her. And then don't forget, Rod Cleef has that free event on Saturday. You can sign up for that. You guys can even just to get it, because once you're in with Rod Cleef, if you guys are doing multifamily, if you ever gonna do multifamily, dude, he is the guy. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet. He gives a lot of stuff to people for the. I mean, it's value, dude. And I went to his event, I paid $1,500, and I would have paid more for that. That was this it was May 2019. Then I went to a couple more events in like September, October before pandemic. But Rod is awesome. He's funny and he's very much the guy went from losing 500 properties in the housing crisis to basically investors lost their ass to he owns a couple $1 billion in apartments now. And his empire, his kids, his family, all his kids and all that run his business. So he does a lot of these webinars and he pretty much supervises. They get their apartment complexes. You'll see them closing it. They put their OMs out there. They start seeking investors for it. They have most of their own investors already because people are, he's got such a track record. Like I've already put 100,000. I'll put another 100,000 with this property that Rod's doing. So Rod will give you guys, and he does have a Orlando thing, and it is a live event. So keep in mind, live versus virtual. It's going to be the the $1,500, $1,000 ones plus air and a hotel. But if you can ever get to Rod Cleef's live event for 2 or 3 days, it's well worth it. It's probably one of the best ones. And I'm going to be doing pit bulls next year after I do this whole thing with the virtual thing. I'll be doing a pit bulls and hopefully maybe take some of you guys with us, and we'll go out there and pitch this automated system. So then you guys will get getting paid to help get it to the masses.
Mm.
Because right now I could probably we got 63 in the program. I could probably get to 100 before I actually am maxed where I can't. Sometimes I worry about getting when I'm sending out the links like 5 o'clock today. I'm kind of like, am I missing anybody? I want to put them in the group. Because I'm kind of like, if you guys are paying for it, you should be going. Go in the group. It's going to be the link's going to be in the group. And I understand sometimes people get a little bit busier. They don't check into the group, but I really would like to see us get 30, 40 people in there, especially when we start getting the lenders because that looks good. So I'm going to take it off record. Everybody that came in late, it'll be you guys can watch the first part on video tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I'm not shutting down.